On April 1st, 2024, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a 19-year-old student went on a first-time date at a local bar and restaurant with a 33-year-old man named Maxwell Anderson. After the date, they left together. The following day, she failed to show up for work, and she had not been in contact with any of her friends or family. Sade was reported missing to police. As the police investigated her disappearance, they found her dismembered body parts in different locations. She had been brutally murdered. Truly, some human beings are so cruel. This is the story of Sade Robinson. Sade Carlina Robinson was born May 10, 2004, in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Her mother was Sheena Scarborough, and her father was Carlos Robinson. Sade lived in Mississippi until she was 1 year old, and then her family moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. While there, she lived with her mother and grandparents. When Sade was in elementary school, she played soccer, and she was also a Girl Scout. During that time, her father, Carlos, lived in Florida, so Sade would split her time to go and stay with him. As Sade was growing up, she developed a love for arts. She started rapping, and she could also dance very well. When she was in school, she became a member of the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, and she dreamed of one day joining the U.S. Air Force. When she was in the 7th grade, she moved to Florida to live with her father full-time after she faced some troubles in school. In the year 2019, she returned back to Milwaukee to live full-time. Sade then attended Riverside High School, where she had a lot of friends. She studied very hard, therefore she always got good grades. At that, she also began working at a local pizza restaurant called Pizza Shuttle on the east side of Milwaukee to support herself. While there, she worked at the counter, and she was loved by her colleagues and customers. At that time, she was only 15 years old. At the same time, she continued studying very hard while at school, and she ended up graduating a semester earlier. She was able to finish high school in December 2021. After graduating from high school, Sade enrolled at Milwaukee Area Technical College, where she majored in criminal justice. While in college, she was able to move out of her mother's home, and she rented her own apartment. She continued working at Pizza Shuttle while she was in college. In the year 2022, she began working at a country club called the Wisconsin Country Club on the city's north side. She managed to balance her studies and her work because she was very ambitious. In May 2024, when she was 19 years old, she was getting ready to graduate from Milwaukee Area Technical College with her associate's degree. She was so excited that she would be soon graduating. Sade liked hanging out with her friends. She also enjoyed traveling, and some of the places she had visited includes Jamaica, New Orleans, and Atlanta. On April 1st, 2024, Sade spoke to her mother on FaceTime before she went to work. That day, she had a first-time date at around 5 p.m. after work, and she had already made plans, and she was looking forward to it. She was going on a first-time date with a 33-year-old man named Maxwell Anderson. Maxwell worked at a local bar. He had a lengthy criminal record, which includes domestic abuse, drunk driving, and disorderly conduct. At around 4:15 p.m., Sade texted Maxwell and asked him where they were going to meet. Maxwell replied her text by telling her that they should meet at Brat House in downtown, which she gladly agreed. Maxwell then told her that he was preparing to shower and he would get at their meeting place by 5:15 p.m. Unfortunately, Maxwell had a change of mind. He instead asked Sade if they could meet at Twisted Fisherman Restaurant because he needed to pick up his W-2 there. Maxwell had worked there a year before. Maxwell added that they could also as well eat there. Sade agreed and added that she loves seafood. She then drove to their meeting point, and at around 5:20 p.m., she had already arrived and entered the restaurant. She found Maxwell inside. He had already arrived there shortly after 5 p.m., and he was sitting at the bar. Sade spotted him and headed over there and sat beside him. They then ordered some drinks and food as they had a casual conversation. An hour later, they paid their bills and left the restaurant. It was still early, so Maxwell got into Sade's car, and they drove to another bar known as Duke's on Water, where they arrived at around 6:30 p.m., and they entered inside. They then had more drinks as they had a conversation, and while there, she sent her friend a Snapchat message. Shortly after 9 p.m., Maxwell again got into Sade's car, and they left the bar and drove to Maxwell's house. The following day, which was on April 2nd, 2024, Sade didn't show up for her scheduled shift at Pizza Shuttle. Her colleagues got concerned about her absence since she had been known for being an on-time, reliable employee. Her manager, Justin, tried to call her, but she didn't answer her phone. She wasn't responding to texts or calls from her friends and family, and none of them had spoken to her since the day before. As hours went by, people who were closest to her were becoming increasingly more worried because she had gone silent. On the evening of April 2nd, 2024, when they had still not heard from Sade, one of her friends went to the police station at 9 p.m. and filed a missing persons report. She told the police that Sade had not shown up for work, and she wasn't returning one's phone calls. She added that the last activity from Sade was from a Snapchat the previous night while she was at Duke's on Water Bar. However, after that, no one had seen or heard from her. A Beyond the Lookout was put out for Sade. Her family and friends tried to figure out what happened to her and where she could be. By April 3rd, 2024, still no one had seen or heard from Sade, so the police went to her apartment to do a welfare check on her. They knocked on the door, but Sade was not there. As the search continued, Milwaukee police discovered that on the 2nd April 2024, the day Sade was reported missing, Milwaukee Fire Department had received a call at 7:32 a.m. for a car that was on fire. And when the firefighters arrived, they found the car, a 2020 Honda Civic, fully engulfed in flames. The car was identified to belong to Sade Robinson. Several hours after her car was found, the Milwaukee County sheriffs were called out to the Warnemont Park after receiving a report that a human leg had been found on the beach. The police arrived at the park, and the person who placed the call led them to the beach. After arriving there, they found a right leg of a black female. The person who called the police said that they were meeting a friend at the park, and they decided to walk along the beach when they found the leg. After the remains was found, it was taken to the medical examiner, who determined that it belonged to someone who was approximately 5 feet tall. Once the news of the leg being discovered reached police in Milwaukee, the investigation into Sade's disappearance ramped up. The officer who had gone to Sade's apartment to do a welfare check had heard about the severed leg found in the park, and she contacted the Milwaukee sheriff to inform them that they had received a missing persons report for a young woman who was around 5 feet tall. The leg was determined by preliminary DNA testing to belong to Sade Robinson. At that time, the burnt car that had been found that morning had come back registered to Sade. The investigators were able to identify clothing that was in the car as the outfit that she had been wearing the night that she went out on date. They also found part of an iPhone that was consistent with her iPhone. After Milwaukee Police Department made contact with the sheriff's office, an officer for the police department and a detective from the sheriff's office went to the building where Sade lived. Once at the building, they were able to speak to a maintenance worker who knew Sade. The worker told the officers that he last saw her on the morning of April 1st, 2024, and that she had told him that she had a date, and she was excited about it. While at the building, the officers reviewed surveillance footage that showed Sade leaving the building at around 9 a.m., following the discovery of the human leg at the park, coupled with the timing of her disappearance and the arson of her vehicle. Detectives from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office requested Sade's phone records from Verizon Wireless. Once the records were received, the detectives were able to see Sade's call logs, text messages, and location, and they discovered that the last text messages from her phone were to a number with a 262 area code. When they searched that number in the police database, it came back to Maxwell Anderson. Now, based on the information in the text, detectives knew that Sade planned to meet Maxwell at the Twisted Fisherman bar, so they went to the bar to see if they could confirm whether or not she had actually gone there. Once there, the detectives were able to review surveillance footage from inside that showed Sade and Maxwell sitting at the bar. He also spoke to the owner and manager, who confirmed that Maxwell used to work there and that he told the manager he was there to pick up his W-2, which is what he told Sade in their texts. The bartender also confirmed to the police that Maxwell told him he was there to pick up his W-2s, and he was also staying there because he had a first date with his girlfriend. On April 3rd, while police were trying to piece together Sade's movements on 1st April 2024, a friend of Sade who told detectives that she came to the police station after hearing that Sade was missing. She said that she had accessed the Life 360 app, which allows friends and family to track each other's locations. She said that according to the app, Sade's phone last pinged at the park at around 4:33 a.m. on April 2nd. After learning about the Life 360 app, detectives reviewed the movement of Sade's phone from April 1st and April 2nd. The phone's locations revealed that after leaving Duke's on Water, it traveled to an area near where Maxwell lived, where it stayed for several hours. After that, the phone traveled to several other locations before last pinging at the park where the leg was found. At 4:35 a.m., the Life 360 app indicated that the phone's battery died. The police were able to confirm that the information from the Life 360 app were credible. The investigators then identified Maxwell Anderson as the prime suspect in the death of Sade Robinson, since he was the last person to see her alive. Shortly after 1 p.m. on April 4th, the police arrested Maxwell Anderson and a search warrant was issued on his home. When the investigators arrived at his home, they found blood on bedding in one of the bedrooms on a wall leading to the basement. They also found a sex dungeon in the basement. And lastly, they found several gasoline containers in the garage area. On Saturday, April 6th, that was 2 days after Maxwell was arrested, investigators returned to the area where Sade's car had been found. As the investigators canvassed the area, they stumbled upon a severed human foot. The foot was collected, and once at the medical examiner's office, they confirmed that the nail polish on the toes was the same nail polish found on the foot and leg found in the park. More human remains, including a torso that was believed to belong to Sade, were found on a beach along Lake Michigan. More body parts were found early on Thursday morning when someone walking along a beach in South Milwaukee discovered Robinson's torso and arm had been washed ashore. The detectives then searched for a footage so that they can know what happened. They found some footage at a nearby store called the Lisbon Liquor and Food Mart. The footage showed two people, one in a blue jacket and another with an umbrella. They walked west on Lisbon Avenue, and as they slowed down near a vacant lot, a third person with a tan backpack crossed the street heading south, and then the person in the blue jacket appeared shocked, pointing at the man with the backpack and flagging down passing by cars, shouting he set a vehicle ablaze. He was then urging for someone to call the fire department. Investigators identified the person in the blue jacket, and when they were interviewing him, he said that he saw a white male exit Sade's Honda Civic car and then lit in on fire. The man then walked away westbound after setting the fire ablaze. The detectives then canvassed the area for more footage. They traced the man with the tan backpack as he walked west, and he eventually boarded a Milwaukee County Transit System bus, which was heading north on 35th Street towards his residence. The bus footage was able to capture his face, and the investigators matched it with Maxwell Anderson's booking photo from his arrest on 4th April. The hoodie he is seen wearing in the footage matched one in his car when he was arrested. On the 13th April 2024, Maxwell Anderson was officially charged with first-degree murder, mutilating a corpse, and arson. His trial was set to begin on December 9th, 2024, but it was later postponed, and so Sade's family is still awaiting full justice. The case is still continuing, and we hope that Sade Robinson will get the justice that she deserved. May her soul rest in peace.